Everybody, like to welcome you to Offbeat. I'm your host, Jack Analog. Today, we got a special guest, my guy, Shiptown, you know what I'm saying? Batch Addicts, you know what I mean? Analog
No doubt.
Hearts. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good, brother. How you?
Yeah. Good, man. Excellent. Blessed to be here. Blessed to have you on, my man. This show about producers and the things that they deal with, outside of hitting the pads, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But before we get started, man, I just like for the audience to know what inspired you, my man, to be a producer, to make music.
Oh. What inspires me? Man,
No, like your original inspiration, like what caught you and just made you be like, yo, I want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to, pursue this, you know what I mean? And invest my time and energy into it. You know what I mean?
The
Like
first
when
time I
was that?
seen, yeah, no doubt. The first time I seen an ASR 10.
Interesting.
Yeah. Najee's son was the first person I ever seen with a ASR 10. Shout out to Superb. Part of the Time to Prosper click. Shout out to Superb.
Yeah, that's
that
dope,
gave me
man.
that gave me the inspiration. Although he didn't let me touch it, and I understood, that was his baby. I would then go on a journey till I got my own. So
Right. Yeah, I know about the no touching. My hands got smacked plenty of times touching knobs on mixers and turntables. Yep. So I understand that completely, man. So what? So you say the ASR was your basically the first, in our time called a workstation that you saw that kind of inspired you, right? Did you just stop right there? I mean, what happened after that?
No. I was MCing. I got into MCing after seeing what the possibilities was with the sampling workstation. It's a funny story that led me through a journey to, by the time I got my own ASR 10, I'd already went through iterations in different drum machines. So I didn't get the actual my own ASR 10 till years later. But I went through every iteration, once I moved away from where we lived at, which was Windsor Woods, South Plaza area, we moved to Ocean Lakes, where I met my man Sid and his big brother Black. And then that's when they had the 2-second Casio keyboards. In order to get 4 seconds, we had to daisy chain them together and speed the samples up. So I went from seeing somebody with an ASR 10 to actually going back to like prehistoric days. But it taught me a lot, though. It taught me, you don't need a lot to make it work.
That's beautiful. As you know, I came from, relatively that same time, and I can definitely attest to the fact that what it took to just even get enough, I would say, information to create something, you know what I mean, was a struggle. Right. And, we know the stories speeding the records up. And so it's interesting, right? Because in today's world, a lot of people, and rightfully so, they don't get that experience, right? But what do you think people that experience that as they move now into this, we're going to say when everything kind of went straight digital, like in the box, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, what kind of what kind of changes did you notice? And like, did you see a lot of uh backlash? You know what I'm saying from
No, yeah, yeah. I mean,
the transitioning era.
well, I think, well, I was part of that, right? So in the beginning, and I went through different changes. Like I said, 2 second Casios to my man and them got a ASR 10. I got to play with it. Then uh I ended up meeting up with some Elohims and worked off their ASR 10. Then I ended up getting my own ASR X. So I've seen some different things, but I hated the MPC. And then I ended up getting the MPC. Then I loved the MPC. But to go back to your what you were asking, to your point, when Fruity Loops came around, I had a lot of people, I was part of the naysayers, like, man, that ain't it. That ain't gonna never, you know, I don't know what that is. That ain't the real. I became what I always dreaded. Right. And
Oh,
then, it was like, well, why am I gonna look down on that when I know how in this specific genre people can classify something as real and not real, and like, yo, it's a tool, right? It's not whether it's not it's not a point of whether it's real or not. It's a real tool, regardless of what your position is on it. I had to even eat that myself, and I'm gonna tell you, Tommy Hits was the one that made me and my production partner eat them words. He came into our studio one night and basically he rocked us out, like, right off Fruity Loops. It wasn't
mm,
even and I knew of people that used it, and I was starting to come around, but he was the one that was just like, he made me realize you can sit here and laugh at this tool, but you're gonna regret not understanding this tool. And it wasn't too much longer after that. That was around 2010, 09, 2010, uh, when I met him, when he came to the spot. Um, and that was a definite game changer for me. And then, to know that, I saw him on the Netflix show, Hitmakers, and realizing that he's still using Fruity Loops, right? So no matter what, he took the tool and took it to another level with it. Money doesn't mean anything, but I'm just saying what he showed us was the speed of the workflow. That's what it broke down to: speed of the workflow.
mhm.
And you know, there's been times where I've been slaving over my MP and sequencing for 2 days straight, like just sequencing. Like, and I come out of an R&B camp, so sequencing, you're not gonna get away with a 4 bar, 8 bar, 12 bar. Like, I really got to go in. I got to do
Exactly.
key changes. I got to get everything ready for the bass player. So there's a lot of different things and elements that go into that workflow, and it was long. And then Pro Tools to me was the most hideous thing to try to make a beat in. And then Teddy Riley came by the studio and then put me on game with Studio One. And then from there, I've been on Studio One ever since. But workflow, new tools, new workflows. And you could be a naysayer to it or look down on it. But the more people that use the tool, if Tommy Hicks can make 10 beats in one night, and he in a 2 hour session block or 4 hour session block, he made 10 joints right in front of us,
Mm,
right? Hits, hits,
mm.
right? One of
Yeah.
those hits ended up landing with Chris Brown in a session that we did. So,
Mm.
workflow. He looked at our drum machines, was like, "Yo, man, what y'all doing? Like, this ain't even the way.
Mm,
This ain't even how they really moving out here." And then sometimes you got to take heed because what we think on one circuit ain't necessarily the way that they move professionally. They getting all the new tools first.
right.
Same thing with AI. I saw a video the other day where Ti said Dr. Dre had to convince him not to be a hater about it because he's used it.
Right.
So it's like you don't know what's being used professionally and competitively. So you can sit in a box and think, man, nah, that ain't it, man. Like that ain't a real. It's it may not be real to you, but
Hmm.
it's a real tool.
Right.
And if it
And
gets the job done, it gets the job done.
right. And that's what we always said, right? Cause you know, I was a stuck guy myself, you know what I'm saying? I had the Triton, the ASR, the MP, I had an MV 8000 one time. So, I was used to that running all my sound, MIDIing up racks and all of that, And I remember, we used to say, man, you'll never get that sound. You'll never get the same sound, that you'll get out of a, hardware. You know what I'm saying? We used to say that all the time. But
Yeah.
meanwhile, I'm finding out that, Ninth Wonder, which that was my dude, right? And
Right.
come to find out, this dude using Fruity Loops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then come to find out, and then I saw a video where Beyonce, I think she was with her dad or something, and she was like, see, they do make music in the computer. And I was like, and that was like a double discovery because first of all, I didn't know he made Girl. I was like, dang, he made
Yeah.
Girl? And
Yeah.
then I was like, Girl was made on Fruity Loops. I was like,
Yeah.
nah. At that point, I was like, yo, you know, uh, that's when I got basically a MIDI controller and I just rocked out in Logic.
Yeah.
And, you know,
And and I do understand that there's a lot of nostalgic with Akai bringing a lot of, bringing new hardware to the market.
mm,
And if that's your workflow, that's great. You know, but just I would say also understand that there's other workflows. That's not the only workflow. And I can only speak for me and me alone, not the hardware, but Akai software is probably a little archaic to me in the fact that I don't have access to my VSTs. It, it's almost like you pushing me back in
right.
time
Well,
and limitations for
well,
me.
I think, and see, that's another thing because like certain tools, are linked to certain companies and certain companies have certain, or they're trying to create certain environments, right?
Right,
Some companies are more, um, well, say third party per se, right? Like
right,
we do this thing to help this thing do something better, right? So, for some, that might be a good thing, right? Like almost like Serrato. They have like everything all in one, So if you're like a DJ type guy, you want to get into production, then that route would be easier for you. But what I feel like that, what we went through and, to get to where we at now, I think the realization is that, yo, it's not even really the tool, it's the workflow, right? It's the efficiency. That's really what we talking about, right? Because, you know, there's certain stages of competitiveness, right?
oh
And
yeah.
one of those things is efficiency, right? So, um, like we said, the tools, right? That's what I really want to talk about because, like, we just explained we was in a time where things changed, right?
Yeah,
But I believe we are back in that time again. Know what I'm saying? With the introduction of, artificial intelligence
Right.
as a tool, right?
Right.
uh, but I like to ask you, what's your opinion as a producer that's, you know, came through all of these changes, right? And uh music production. Um, what's your take on AI?
So it's a new tool. So I was curious about it in the beginning. Um, and it was cumbersome when it first started. I used the tool 2 years ago. When they first started talking about it, it was first and foremost, I had to stop and go, how does this fit my workflow? Um, what am I trying to achieve with it? In the beginning, there was a lot of voices that sounded like other voices that was bigger artists already. I knew that wasn't going to go anywhere. So now it has evolved into something totally different. And I will tell you, because a lot of people will say, well, that's cheating. So for anyone that thinks that it's cheating, what platforms like Suno is, it's a song writing tool, right? You have to feed it. It's your very own cover band. That's the best way I can tell you.
Mm,
You give it melody,
mm.
it gives you back a cover of your melody, which is your IP.
Which you can take and add on.
I can take, strip away. See, one thing that the AI doesn't have, it doesn't have the sauce, right?
Mm,
It's
mm,
it'll give you chicken, but it don't give you no seasoning.
mm.
Who wants bland chicken? Right? You got to take that and you got to chop it up, redo it, add the spice to it,
Right.
right? And you know, when we think of some of these tools, we think, well, when we hear about the tool, we look at it through the lens of, let's say, little Sally that's 12 years old, that's in Minnesota, who loves unicorns, and she has no musical ability, but she can get on the tool and she can make her a cool little song about unicorns to play at school the next day. Hey, and you may think that ain't a tool, but let's flip it. Rants 1500 from 1500 to nothing can use that same tool and have his artist hum a melody, get a melody line going, get ideas, and get more vocal arrangement ideas out of that, to which they build a song on.
Right.
Right? Once again, don't think of a tool from its lowest level. Understand that how people are going to compete with it, because whether you like it or not, you will have to compete against it.
Right. And that's
You
funny
know,
because
you're not. Well, I just want to say this: when Fruity Loops came in, we wasn't competing against Fruity Loops. We was competing against how people integrated Fruity Loops into their workflow.
workflows.
Right.
Exactly.
So let's just say it took producer X over here 2 weeks to get 3 good beats. Now you got a cat that can wrestle up 3 good ones in 45 minutes.
Right. Well, I think it's funny because, like, you know, and it's like, a lot of modern producers, right? And I'm say modern producers have, problems with AI, right? But I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, bro, like, uh, I'm looking at you tapping a pad and making a drum sound. I don't see drum kits nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And like, we gotta think about why some of the tools we use now got made, right? Um, it's just say it. Because this I believe this was a true story, but can't remember all the details. But basically, it's a band, right? They got a drummer. Drummer OD. They on tour. They gotta finish their tour. They don't have a drummer, so they got a drum machine. The drum machine did what the drummer was supposed to do, and they finished the tour because they had made a commitment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that solved a problem. But it was also artificial intelligence, right? I don't see the difference. So for people to say they're cheating, well, I'm like, well, then unless you unless you have the drum kit or know how to make a drum out of a sine wave, which can be done, but then you gotta tweak it and do other things. And if you have a drum kit, you're gonna have to record it in, you know what I'm saying? And then it has to be mixed down. So if you're not doing that, then you're cheating, right?
So
So it's a tool. That's
so I to add to your point, right? To it's cheating. Let's look at that. Let's get into that. Um, is it cheating when we sample other people's melodies and copywritten work and reimagine it? We didn't reimagine it through our own skill set. We reimagined it by chopping it up and editing it through technology. So to me, right, that's to those real music, the actual physical musicians who created that music, they may look at chopping up samples as cheating. Thus, how they levied on the publishing way back in the day that drove people away from sampling.
right.
For right. So, and I'm gonna make my point to this. No different than then. You might have somebody that says, "Well, that's not the same." I challenge them with this. Pretty soon, if as producers, if you don't realize how the economy is changing, this tool will soon replace Splice, because here's the limitations when you use Splice. Everybody gets sees the same packs. Everybody got the same loop packs. And what do the competitive producers want? They don't want to touch nothing everybody else has access to. What this tool is, it's your own sample library that will
That's heavy.
that will have those producers that are competitive in the space go, I could use that. I don't have to go and find Professor X over in London to make me an exclusive stem pack. I can hum my melody and I can type in 1975 French soul with a heavy horn section, trombone with a distorted guitar amped through a Neve 1073.
And see, that's it's just the beauty of this whole thing, man. This whole movement and change, right? Like just like we just talked about the last, you know, like like kind of major movement change, in music. And you had resistors and you had acceptors. And you know had we been the latter, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I know I was a resistor, you know what I mean? I
Right.
seemed like I was one of the last ones, you know what I mean? Felt like.
But what I want to say is this: the technology doesn't scare me. What scares me about the technology is who's using it. That 12-year-old in Wisconsin, I'm not worried about. That doesn't keep me up at night. What keeps me up at night is someone like Tricky Stewart and the Dream figuring out a new way to increase their workflow with the tool. That scares me, because now me already knowing what level they're on, and know how they think, it scares me to think that someone's going to give them a tool where Dream only has to hum something and he can get all the riffs that he needs to finish the record. What might have took him, Tricky might give him a care package to go home with when he's leaving Red Zone. Hey, here goes 2 or 3 beats that I cooked up over the weekend. Now, notice what I said. I got three or four of them I cooked up over the weekend. He give it to Dream. Dream like, okay, well, I'm gonna spend a couple of days during this week and get it done. Versus Tricky coming back and going, yo, I made 10 today. And I got the melodies with it, the melody stack with it, that you can go home with and you put your sauce on it. And he could come back the next day with those 10 records completed. Workflow. The tool doesn't scare me. It's who using the tool. And I don't care about the 12-year-old girl, right, that's prompting her way to a song about unicorns. I'm talking about someone that is a competitor, a team of killers, figuring out, breaking the tool, putting it back together and going, we get it. And then now what once was a very large gap becomes even a larger gap because now they're using tools that everyone else is going, nah. And as we learn in this age of social media, you got to get there early. You get there late.
Right.
You're done. And specifically with Suno right now, it doesn't even have an R&B category. It goes soul, blues, jazz. Doesn't even have an R&B section. The leading creators on it is EDM, techno, folk. Folk music ranks higher than R&B because that's just to show you that the resistance to it.
Right. Right. And the acceptance of it as well.
Right. So I'm a songwriter and producer. What's liberating about a tool like that is I don't have to, when I make a very huge sounding record, I don't have to go and try to search. And I hate to say this, I don't have to search in my local area or even search online with someone that has the technical talent to execute. And coming from the R&B world, you have to have the type of singers that can execute technically. And in the R&B soul space, there are very few that are technical singers. I'm gonna say that again, it's very few. And we're talking signed and whatever, blown up. Very few technical singers.
And I'm gonna be real with you. I think it's the essence of who we are, right? But it's the human, right? So, you have to deal with. You're gonna have to, get them there. Like everything has to be aligned. You know what I mean? And them as human beings, they have to have certain things in order. Or something happens, you know what I mean? Because everybody can't always align with your time, right?
Yeah, what happens is you end up wasting time because now I have an artist, because I know a lot of people are going to get confused by how I say this, but I've been in the 757 my whole life. And there's only been 1 or 2 technical singers that I've come across. The rest have been crooners and singers, right? But the camp I was in was up tempo R&B, right? So, I'm not going to be able to have a singer that's a crooner or a singer try to sing a up tempo record. It's going to sound like every time it come back on the 4 and the 8, they're trying to take it to church.
Yeah,
and not being technical.
Church remix. Yep.
Right. So this is the part of producing the record, right? This is the part of, you make the beat cool, but now you got to get the song. Like the song is supposed to overpower the beat.
Mm.
So
Mm.
sometimes you got to dumb the beat down so that it's not overpowering the artist.
Mm.
So then you got to go. So there's stages to it. There's the initial beat, right? We had a very complex system of how we made records. It was producers in the studio first, no writers. Although I was a writer, I would come back with the writers. But in the beginning, just the producers. Where's the idea? Who's got scratch ideas? Let's bring them, let's load them up. You load your 3 or 4 joints. I'm gonna load mine. We're gonna go through which one is the best record. Okay, this is the best record. Let's finish this beat. We might do 3 or 4 of those records. And then it's time for the producers to leave the studio. The writers come in. I may come back with the writers just to give them where we're going with each individual melody, or Roz might come back and he might spend time, depending on who did the beat. So once we get the songwriters going, one is writing for rhythm and cadence, the other one's writing for harmony and structure. And then now they got a song. We still leave. We don't come, they produce. Now the songwriters are producing the record now. They're producing vocals. Now they got to bring the talent in and go through the whole motions. And they put everything in the record. And then the songwriters are finished with their part of the production. Now the producers come back in. Now it's the edit. It's a whole nother level of the production, right? So now the producers edit, and then the songwriters and the producers come back for the final edit. Then the songwriters leave, and now the mixers come in. And now through all of that process, everybody is a producer. Because everybody constructed the song. Collaborative input, right?
Like team.
But what I'm saying is this tool allows me to go, I don't have to search the 757 for this particular technical singer. I've been sending records that I've been stockpiling to my man Raj, who's like, yo, we don't even need these to find the singers, and we can shoot it straight to Troy Taylor. Or we can send that package back out down south to find a singer. It's, versus paying somebody $400 to sing a song that we believe in. Now I just get the song to where it need to be at without having to utilize or waste time with that. That's not any discredit to those that are talent. Talent is gonna rise to the top. It don't take all day to recognize sunshine.
Right.
If you're a technical great singer, you're gonna shine through regardless.
That's right.
But in the event of a producer songwriter as myself, and I need to get 3 songs to Trey songs, or I need to get 2 pop songs down south, I need to work faster.
Mm-hmm.
Workflow matters.
Mm-hmm. Workflow. And that's the key. You know what I mean? That's what, that's why we upgrade our, our hardware, our software, everything, we add plugins, it's all for the workflow. If you're not doing it, if that's not improving your workflow, I'm gonna say you hustling backwards. You know what I mean?
Well, I think
what the tools are, unless there's a certain thing you want done, you know what I mean? Like, that requires that time, something, special, because we're talking about, not the production plugin side, the mixing plugins and things of that nature. If it's not improving your workflow, then, I would say you're hustling backwards. But I like to go back to that 12-year-old girl in Wisconsin, right? that's
Mm-hmm.
got Suno, or let's talk about that 16-year-old, or I mean, really age is not even, the
Yeah.
factor, right? It's that person, um, that, they got this thing in them. They wanna try to make some music, and they did enough to get a tool, right? Or maybe a couple of tools, right? What would you say to them in 2026? Uh, like, how would you tell them to approach, uh, you know, the production, as far as, um, things like we talk about workflow tools, things of that nature? What would you say to them?
Um, First understand, like, there's no shortcuts to this, right? You're not gonna prompt your way. Although some people, it sounds like somebody did, but there was a level of effort and understanding that you're gonna need. And once again, like I said, the tool is not gonna give you the sauce. It's not gonna give you the sauce. It is a cover band at your disposal and a cover singer at your disposal. How you choose to use that, it's just like an MP. When you first get it and you unwrap it, you have to insert the drums and the groove, and whether you swing the kick -3 to the left or the right, or the snare -3 left to the right.
Yeah.
That is your right. So someone who just opens up an MPC and thinks that, oh, this MPC is gonna make me rich. There's a lot of there's a lot of sweat equity that goes into that. For every producer in the DMV that's got to turn on their machines or go into their software, there's sweat equity involved that people should, those that are coming in should definitely respect, because you don't know, you thinking that this tool is going to get you all the way there. It's not going to get you all the way there. It's just to increase your workflow once you understand, have the right understanding of what the tool is meant for. Suno is a song writing tool.
Right.
It's not a production tool. It's a cover band to
Mm.
give you an idea of where you could take the production. What it does for me is, okay, I wanted the bridge to go from A, A, A sharp minor to C sharp major.
Mm. Mm.
But it's saying, hey, why don't you try G flat major for the bridge? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not. It's giving me oh, I could try that.
Right. Right.
Right? I could take that. Okay, yeah, okay. You gave me what you think is a Moog synth, but I really got I got the real Arturo, you know, you know, Moog, Moog 4, Moog 5, whichever iteration is on, which is really, really got the real meat of the actual instrument.
Right.
Like, or a Prophet 5. I actually had a Prophet 500. I know what it sounds like. And up until Arturo, Kurtzwell was the only one that had those patches right. For many years, it was only Kurtzwell that really had the OBX patches and the Prophet and Moog patches and the ARC 2600 patches. They did them right. I'm just
Right.
saying. But
So
if you don't have that knowledge, you're gonna take whatever it give you, and it's gonna have you looking like that 12-year-old girl out there. But I can guarantee you that, you know, and resistance is always gonna be people's first the first thing is gonna
natural
be the
reaction.
resistance.
Right.
Right. The natural reaction is the resistance. Until you realize that if I don't utilize the tool, am I gonna keep sampling Bob James?
Right.
Everybody sampled Bob James.
Right.
Bob James wants 100% of the publishing.
Right.
Well,
Like I be saying, man, like, you know, I like to use the assembly line because like that's something that at one time, man, um was steady employment for a lot of people. Because think about it, it's assembly line, so they need a certain amount of people, right, to run that line. But
Right.
then here comes these automated machines, right? And I'm saying, I'm like, this is what I'm saying. Like in my lifetime, I've seen this happen so many times where, it was a person doing something and they got replaced, right?
Right.
What you don't look at, right, is okay, those people got replaced, so their job became obsolete, but it also created jobs. It created
True.
software programmers. It created
Yeah.
robotics engineers, right?
Right.
So, but you had to be in that field and up on it ahead of the curve, right? So I think that's uh me. This is what I would tell that person is like, yo, I'm saying, look at we don't, and we know we don't always work in the latest and greatest. But what I'm saying is you have to see that whatever tools are out there that you see are advancing. And I mean, I don't know, to be honest, maybe you should be whatever people are resisting against, you might actually want to go into it and see, because uh most people resist because they already know or they already have a way, right? So they don't see a way to use it. But for people that haven't, you just starting off, like, yeah, what you could jump in, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Jump
Well,
in hands, feet. You don't have a inclination of, well, this is how, and that's I mean, that goes all the way back to synthesizers, you know what I mean? Because people were saying synthesizers aren't real instruments. It's not like a real guitar or, you know. So this thing it's nothing new. You know what I'm saying? Under the sun.
I
It's
mean,
it's just a reiteration of the same thing. And it's just really what side of what they say, what side of history you gonna be on.
I
But not
mean,
this time, bro. Not me. I ain't trying to be that last guy that's like, oh,
if if
all
if
right,
if
I'm gonna go in
if
the box now. Everybody a ninth wonder finally. No, no, I don't need this. I ain't gotta see the same thing over and over. I'm in. You know what
it's
I'm
more
saying?
just.
And I really don't. I mean, pardon me. I respect all the producers. I don't really care about what people think about if I'm using or whatever. It doesn't matter because I have the groundwork. You know what I mean? I can show you to your face. I can make a track right here, no problem. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about what? Workflow. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, I gotta. You come to my. You come to the. You've been to the lab. I got the live bass sitting over there, acoustic guitar. I got every uh workstation known to man in my dog. Like I have all the tools to do it, but
My man got a snare waiting for me to grab a snare drum. So yeah.
yeah, it's 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 workflow, right? To those, it's no different than I. Let's not, because sometimes when you talk about these new technologies, people get offended. They get in their feelings. Um, let's just take studios, right? We had a studio 13 years. Um, there's nothing that I had in that studio that is going to push me further than what I have in my studio now, my home studio. Many thousands of dollars of equipment I have now in my desktop. Like I just all the tools. The only thing now, the only thing, three things I miss is running a Newman U87 through a Avalon 737 compressor. That's the only thing that I've heard a lot of, and mixing on Yamaha NS10s. But like I told you, I'm going to get me another pair of NS10s and put them in my studio. Just because my ears, I learned how to mix on Yamaha NS10s, and I mix low. But those are only 3 things I missed. Do I have a U87 in my current studio? No. Do I have the emulation? Yes. Do I have a 737 emulation? Yes. Right. But, and I love the way I know what a U87 sounds like running through a 737. I love it. I know what it, I touched it and lived that every day for 13 years. But ask me, do I use my U87 emulation? Nope. I use a Sony C800 emulation on my Slate digital mic, running through a couple of different other plugins that aren't 737s, landing on the Slate digital compressor, running into my chain. And then, of course, all the tools that I have on the chain eliminates having the studios, right? I don't need, a big studio like we used to have. I didn't need that, right? I have everything, everything is condensed. I can have a studio and a laptop and walk around and get anything done. And that's why, like, when we went on the journey and working with different artists, and artists don't have a home setup in 2023, 2022 was baffling to me. Like, yo, why would you not have that setup? Why wouldn't you not have the ability to record? Why don't you understand just basic elements of how to get your sound in? But everybody's not on the same level. But if your ambition is to be in the music business, you must be competitive. You cannot be archaic.
Right. Which means you either have to learn, you either have to pay for it or learn. You know what I'm saying? Or I guess the third option is have somebody else pay for it, but then you kind of they mercy.
Right. So what happens when like I told you earlier, T.I. already said Dr. Dre using it. Do you think hardcore purist fans are going to turn down production or mixing from Dr. Dre because he's using it?
No.
I doubt it.
No.
But that should tell you that being competitive, if you are in this to compete, some people they just want to, they're tinkering and it's just for the love, respect. But if you're competing, you gotta understand what the competition is using.
Right.
And if you just say, nah, man, I ain't doing it. It's just like content. You either gonna stick your head in the sand and be like, man, I do that ain't me. Okay. But then you're gonna be slave to other people's platforms.
Right.
If you don't create your own platform.
Right.
Right. We're not in content creator land anymore. You have to be a content architect. Right. You basically have to move like you're a multimedia company. Right. All the way around. And now the tools, even with AI tools for graphic design and video production and motion graphics. Right. You can use those things.
Right. And those like those are all of the things that that it's funny. I like how you kind of wrap that up, which we never mentioned your podcast, the wrap up, you know what I'm saying? You'll see my lovely face up there. But
no doubt.
I wanna go back to the studio, right? Cause I'm first of all, my journey, and I will say our journey, because a lot of it we kind of did together, right? It got us in what we call our dungeons now, right? We got all these tools and we can do all the things, we need to do without any barriers, right?
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you what I miss, you know what I'm saying?
What's that?
Is that collaboration with everybody around you, you know what I mean? Because I remember a time where I was, I wouldn't even make a beat around somebody. Like I didn't have enough confidence to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But then I started getting around people and, they would do their thing and I just felt like, man, like I know what I'm doing. So as I started to do that, and then when a quick story before we get out of here. This me and you. And this probably I would probably say to this day, actually probably one of my favorite tracks I made, right? Uh so Buddy Kyrie and his cousin come to the studio, right? They and his cousin already got this idea. He's like, man, I wanna loop that backstabber song, right? OJ. So it's like, yo, no problem. At that time I had the Tort, which was like the fake Serrato, you know, chopped it up on that joint and ran it in to the Triton, you know what I mean? Ran the sequence or whatever, right? So I had it running, right? The dude was like, yo, that's dope. But then they left, you know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget, talk to you, you know what I'm saying? Let you hear. He was like, yo, that's dope. But what would Knots do? Which that that's another thing we probably talk about another day. But uh so that took me into that rabbit hole, right? And it was in the days when like the Triton would stay on for days, right?
Right.
So a couple days later, I got this arrangement, and I let you hear it, and I mean, you snapped off. I was like, yo, you know what I mean? And that was just me and you. And I think I was on the phone with you. You weren't even there, but still, the point is that song would not have been created without that input. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like that's really a thing that's missing in music. People don't want to collab everything. They want their rights but if you look at a lot of songs that make it, that do hit big, it don't be just one person with the producer credit. You know what I'm saying?
It's a collaborative effort. No, for sure. For
So
sure.
that's one thing I miss, and that's one thing I kind of like to see come back. You know what I'm saying? Is more collaboration of music, because you're never gonna do the same thing you would do by yourself if you with another mind. You know what I'm saying? It just takes it. It's just gonna take it to a place that it wouldn't have went uh, if you was by yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just wanted to share that, man. But yo, hey, man, I gotta come back. I gotta come back to you, man. I just don't feel like we. I mean, I just like we scratched the surface, but uh, you gave the people a lot, man. You know what I mean? I appreciate you uh coming and checking me out, man. And
No doubt.
anytime you need me, I'm right there, bro. You know what I'm saying? And
No doubt. I
coming for
mean,
y'all
if
producers, man. You know what I'm saying? I need y'all to, hit me up because I want to share your story. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do here. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, I'd like to say thank you, man. I
no
appreciate you
doubt.
uh blessing my platform. And any last words for the people in offbeat world?
Uh yeah. I just want to say this. And I'll be brief. In this time that we in right now, I understand people make curated content, but I don't even like to call it podcast. These are conversations. It is the conversation about music that will progress everyone's platform further versus and still do your curated content. But you're gonna and it's not about being famous or nothing. It's about slave masters and slaves. We can end up being slaves to the other platforms that don't do what we do, or we can create the platforms and then we don't need the other platforms because we already have a network of platforms. And it doesn't mean that you got to be on Joe Schmo's podcast. If if y'all don't feel like y'all doing the same thing. But you got to cross collaborate and cross pollinate,
Totally agree.
right? So even if I don't agree with, or because I'm never like that person. I love all music, but even if me and this other person may not see eye to eye on certain things within the what we love, that doesn't mean that we can't have a conversation,
Right.
right? We can have a conversation on neutral ground and we both benefit,
Right.
right? We can have an hour-long conversation. You're gonna get 30 clips, I'm gonna get 30 clips. That 30 clips gonna last me to the next time I can have another conversation while I'm waiting on my curated content to get finished and polished.
Right.
Which, if you really look at it, those top creators in other genres, not music, that's how they move,
Right.
right? The economy for a producer, not even the economy, the attention economy for producers is shrinking unless you compete. Because, and I'm gonna end it with this: don't let the 12-year-old girl from Wisconsin with the song about the unicorns get more emotion than what you didn't put 20 years into. Because she
I
know how to
heard
use
that.
the tools, not just Suno, but she know how to use those online tools to push her platform forward.
I heard that. Well, that's all we got, man. Hey, man, I really appreciate you coming out, man. Like
Yeah.
I said,
Shout out to
um,
Wisconsin.
yeah, yeah. Shout out Wisconsin and that 12-year-old girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You better watch out. You know what I mean? But hey, man. Once again, I appreciate you. I'm coming back. I'm coming back to see you, man. Cause uh, I
And then you always welcome on the wrap up, man.
oh yeah,
Always, man.
I'm coming through, man. Just let me
You
know.
know,
You
that's
know
a
what I'm saying?
trio.
Yeah,
That's the trio.
yeah. Yeah, got the unaffiliated creatives, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Everybody has their own
Yeah,
platform.
right,
And
right,
some days I don't have anybody on my platform. Some days it's just me dolo getting it in. So even when you don't have a conversation with someone, you can have a conversation with your people on
that's
the other
right.
side of the camera,
True, very
right?
true, very true.
An hour-long conversation is 30 clips. 30 clips divided into 10 is 3 days worth of content that you'll bust the algorithm wide open.
And let's not forget cause hey man, anything you've learned how to use is content. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like for those people that, I understand everybody don't want to, everybody don't want to show their face. Well, those videos you don't even need to show your face. You can just show your screen
yeah.
and talk. You know what I'm saying?
I think people get it construed like being online means I gotta tell these people about me. Like I don't talk about my family. I don't talk about my
No,
home life. I don't talk
no.
about none of that. I don't
Well,
talk
that's
about
not
my businesses.
yeah,
I
that's
don't
not a
talk about any of
valuable
that.
yeah, that's not a valuable, like
Yeah,
content is something that has value. Like not
right.
saying that me talking about what's going on, doesn't like now if it's something that can relate to maybe the information I'm trying to relay, that's fine, right? But in the end, like, it's just like how we feel, right? We don't want nobody to waste our time. So
Oh,
if you take the time to watch, this podcast, your podcast, K podcast, affiliated creatives, um, we want to make sure you get something out of it because we don't want to waste your time.
yeah. No, I 100%.
Right.
And
So,
each platform serves a different purpose. You talk
right,
to more producers, K talks to the artists, and my platform is really talking about the engineering side of it
right.
and the songwriting side.
And, with the end in mind, we just gonna say that we creating platforms really to create platforms. You know what I'm saying? Like the because it's a value factor that's involved. And this might not look the same a year from now. It might look totally different. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But what I can assure you is that I'm gonna be giving value in some form or fashion. I want
There,
to
I think that
give something to the, to the people because you know, I was blessed to have access to certain things, right? And I feel like the people out here nowadays, you can go look up stuff, right? So if you have the wherewithal to do that, which is wild. It seems like everybody, but no, everybody doesn't. They don't go online to get information. Sometimes they just go to entertain themselves, which is fine, right? That's you. But
that's you.
I'm up here. I want to give value, and when I want to entertain, that's a different lane. Like I do that that way. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I do. So, um, yeah, man. Hey, you you hitting points, uh, but
And
we
if I
got
could just say one last thing,
yes, sir.
people have to understand whether artist, producer, engineer, songwriter, it's a new economy. And if you don't understand what that is, the record industry already knows. This isn't a short play. You have Warner Music Group, one of the big three, committed and to Suno, part ownership after they sued them. Now we have Universal Music Group getting ready to partner with Splice. You have that dynamic. So to think that this is going away, that would be a little naive to think. If it was easily to get rid of, they would have just sued them out of business.
Right.
They would have just sued them out of business.
All right.
But to that, you won't have what will get devoured in this economy is sample packs. Once people figure out that they can make their own sample packs, so then no one will have the same records if they use Suno right. The right producers understanding how this works will end up on the other side. It could be you, me, or it could be that 12-year-old girl. It ain't about it's workflow and how hungry you are.
I
Right?
heard that, bro.
That's it,
That's
man.
what's up.
So
That's what's up, man.
appreciate you, man.
Hey,
I don't
man.
want to. We could probably, if we got into it again, we probably end up going for another hour or
Well, that's
so.
what I'm saying, brother. I already know that. That's why, I know my peoples, they got, I appreciate the time that they give me. So I try to get them in and out. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking
No
about
doubt.
y'all. You know what I'm saying? And you as well, because your time is valuable too. You know what I mean? I
Appreciate
just
that.
appreciate you coming to the platform, man. And
That's what I'm
I
supposed to
be
do.
right. I appreciate you though. You know what I'm saying? And I hope to speak to you soon, my man. This your boy Jack Analog, offbeat, and my boy like me to end it with a Bumbleclad.
Bumbleclad. Peace.
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 Peace.